Hello everyone and welcome to another InvGate presentation. Today we'll be talking about Insight, the new product of InvGate. Insight is born from the problem of unified management of the different devices of our IT infrastructure. Today we have tools that are only responsible for managing our entire cloud platform. We have tools that are the famous MDM that are responsible for managing all of our mobile phones, tablets and others, as well as there are tools that are dedicated exclusively to discovery and management of networking equipment. The same as many of us already have desktop management tools for servers with virtual machines, software distribution, etc. And finally, we have this last layer of devices, or the IoTs, and we're still not clear who has the need to manage this, who's responsible for being in control of this, knowing what's the status of the devices, where they're at, how they're being used, and so on. And when we mention the IoTs, we do not see it only in terms of HomePods or Apple TV, but also more critical questions as, for example, the sensors of smart buildings, access control, the temperature of sensors on a data center. And through this today, there's no tool that gives you a unified vision in 100% automatic way that it's able to discover all of the network platform and all devices or IoT devices, cell phones, workstation, virtual machines, and all of that in just one single place. The challenge of being able to manage this unified platform and that everything has a sense of coherence in the use of this tool led us to work a lot on the user experience, to understand how we can link devices that are so heterogeneous in a single UI so that can be consulted by users, and without this being a complicated task, making it really easy to use. That's why we focused on emphasizing some things that seem important to us. For example, that everything starts with a universal search bar that allows me to identify and individualize any type of device between my infrastructure from a single point of contact. We also manage between the tool a tag and smart tags engine, where a device can have one or multiple associated tags, and it is these smart tags that allows, according to different conditions, that the devices are fulfilling or not fulfilling those policies. And also you can remove or add tasks to every single assets that you're going to be having on Insight, and this will later on also provide a logical operator in the searches that we're going to be doing to get reports from this tool. Also, managing this large volume of information has the problem that there is a lot of data. That sometimes it is very difficult to understand what are the indicators that can be seen between all of this data. We're pretty dedicated to creating an engine of analytics on the fly, which we'll take a look at it in a few minutes. But basically, there are indicators that are constantly changing according to the information that you can see on the screen. For example, I can select a machine, and the indicators that Insight will reflect will be those that apply only to that PC, as well as I can select multiple PCs and still get a summary of all the information that they have in common as part of my indicators. We have also developed that each family of these devices and each device that deserves it has its own homepage and its own way of gathering all the information and extracting global indicators to that family of devices. Another great feature that's available on this tool is the way that we can draw different security policies that our company must follow and monitor them in a simple way. This is done by applying rules that will allow to determine which PCs are compliant with these rules and easily identify which are not compliant with our security policies. And all of this can be done in a really easy and simple way by just adding tasks to those machines, specifying with names, so we can later on gather all of the information and make reports, make alerts that will actually notify us of the health of those PCs, in this case, that are not being compliant at this time. Another very important point that we would like to explain is that usually the tool that comes to resemble Insight are usually super complicated to configure because the software has different languages, because the manufacturers put different titles, making it really difficult to group and identify the software. Knowing this, we started to work a couple of years ago with InvGate to normalize all the software universe and collecting and detecting over these years to make sure that the end user does not have to waste time on identifying. And we'll see those also in a couple of minutes, how we have been adding and normalizing, working with different engines in order for that to work just the way you want. Finally, we achieved that having all of that information of business applications, networking infrastructure, IoT infrastructure, plus all the devices, virtual machine, tablets, all the physical equipment, to have all the relationship engine to create the dependency mapping and create a CMDB that is fully automatic, that will display on Insight and will show you exactly all the mapping between the different softwares, the different applications, and between your network infrastructure. If it's okay with you, I would like to go ahead and get a hands-on on our Insight product. I hope you like it, so let's go. So the first thing you will see when you access the tool, it'll be a dashboard that will give you the status or the configuration status of your infrastructure. Some of the indicators are the amount of devices that are being handled by InvGate. Some of them are going to be talking about the configuration. Some of them are going to be saying, antivirus are working just fine. These PCs do not have a firewall activated. And then we can also talk about health status. Those are rules. They're pretty fine and are linked to the configuration of different devices. And we define if they're, in a warning or in a critical status or in a safe status, so we can have a quick look at those from a single point of view. Also, what we can have here is different views, or like we can see there, assets by type and by manufacturer. If we go to discover real quick, we have the entire universe of devices that are being worked in my infrastructure. And on the right side, we can see the total of assets, the total cost associated to all of those. And this indicators that we're being shown, if I click on this one, for example, it will go ahead and display all the information on the right side. But I can also compare between different assets, just like I'm doing right now. Everything is being displayed as a summary on the right side. Total of assets selected, the total cost, and right now I'm also seeing the location. In this case, it's Monterrey in Mexico. If we go here, we can start playing with the tags. So in this case, I'm going to be saying location is inside of Mexico. So I have all the assets are tagged. And then between those, I also want to add a couple of filters. For example, the IoTs. So I'm going to tag that as well. IoTs, here we go. And it will also display those. So I have three assets: the total cost and the location. Okay, how many Chromecast I have connected to different presentation screens. Again, the objective is to have everything indicated in just one single place in a really easy way, as you're seeing right now. We can keep adding tags and different filters to get the proper information that we're looking for. And it will provide all the information from a device that is connected to our network. I can also make a different filter or add in different tags. Like for example, try to look it up by operating system. In this case, it's gonna be a server. I'm gonna be also adding financial cost. So the cost center in this case is gonna be IT. So you see on the right side all the information that's being shown. I'm also gonna be adding the location. It's data center. And I also want to see only devices that are under leasing, or renting. So I'm gonna be looking at that as well. So as you can see, it's just showing me all the information that I'm looking for, applying different tags. So that's really simple to do to use. We can create custom views like I'm doing right now and save it. And I can also share that information or that custom view with the rest of the users of Insight. So those are the ones that are saved by me already. I can, as I said before, I can go ahead and provide permissions to share those views. And then I can start even make a more complex filter applying or different tags. For example, all devices that are not in Mexico or in Argentina or Chile, and we'll just talk about Latin America. So all the equipments or devices are in LATAM, and the computer where the health status is critical. They're not meeting the rules or the security policies that I have configured. I can also mention the tag is PCI compliance, and I can also add another tag. In this case, it's going to be let's say, since we're InvGate, we have service desk, so I'm going to be looking up for all of these tags and adding open tickets on service desk. So I have all equipment or all devices in LATAM where the health status is critical, where the PCI compliance, and if I click here, it will show me why is it shown as critical. So we can see there, since there's no antivirus enabled, that's why it's being shown as critical. And I have all the information from this device. I can also see all the information of the tickets that are being open, the requests. I can see also the hardware information. Hardware, software, all the software installed in that machine. I can filter between those that information. 2 versions of SQL, the financial situation, the request, and all the activity log that is being handled by this device. If we go back to summary, we can also take a look at access to the CMDB. This was also mentioned before, so I can click here and it will show me a relation map. So that's one of the things I was mentioning before. We have been working really hard to do this, and this will bring me to the home page of that SQL server. I have 3 different versions running inside my infrastructure, and the most installed one is the 2005. How many of those? As you can see, all the information that you need is right there in one single click. I can access here, get all the equipments or PCs that have this installed, and I can group them by different filters. I can go back to Discover. I'll clear the filters, and I will also look up information with configuration. In this case, I'm going to say firewall status is disabled. And also I'm going to keep adding, let's see, in our tag, SQL servers install. So there we go. And I'm going to be adding the manufacturer of that device is Dell. Again, all the information on the right side, filtering, getting all the right information from my entire infrastructure universe. There's also an idea that it's really important that's coming up. All this information that you can see on the screen does not only has link and information associated, but it will also bring you to the homepage, just like I'm doing right here. Monterey has their own homepage, so I have all the information right there, really simple to access. I know Monterey belongs to Mexico, so if I click Mexico, it will bring me back to the homepage of Mexico. Mexico belongs to LATAM, so if I click there, this is the LATAM homepage. So I can see all the assets, all the installations, all the users, the assets by type. So I'll go to here, the manufacturer, Dell, and again, this is a Dell homepage where I can see everything that I need in this same page. And everything is running inside my infrastructure. Every single data that I see or every single number that I see, it's associated and it's being collected live. I can use another software name, for example, right here at the top is 7zip. And I have here that I have different versions, right? So there are 142 installations being done. And I'll filter there, group them by, there we go. And as I said before, we have been working really hard on normalization software. So to find out actually if that software belongs to a family that we have identified, what type of product is it? Is it an open source? Is it a cost associated? Is it an open source? In this case, it's a category of file compression and the type is standard. So there's no licensing. Again, I'll group them, 142 installations. And if I go by version released to the market, I have all of those. How many installs have they been done? I can go ahead and access the homepage of Igor Pavlov. Again, I have all the information, 7zip, all different 5 versions, and which is the ranking, the top 5 ranking of the installation being done in my infrastructure. All of this normalization process has been done by InvGate with a team that it's been working and continues working on that. So that database is being updated automatically and with no extra cost to every single customer that still has support with us. So we'll hold it and update all the information so you're with the latest information on Insight. We'll go back here. I'll go ahead and add a different tag. All the cloud information, for example. So in this case, I'm going to go to our Amazon account. Again, how many instances are running at this time? This is the cost that I'm being charged with, how it's being distributed, which operating systems are being run between the Amazon server, and if I have a contract under documents. If I go here, I can see all the different assets and devices are here. There we go, BI. It's running Ubuntu, a T2. Every little thing that we see on screen has information, and it's related to all devices between our infrastructure. You can have all the control of your infrastructure in just one single place. I hope you really enjoy our brand new product. Feel free to ask us any kind of questions. We're here to help you. Remember that you can log to our support tool, open tickets with questionings. And once again, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And once again, we hope you like our brand new product, Insight. Thank you.